one thing in a heresy. I don't know what heresy is, but there's lunatics and maniacs and heresies. Some things, when they're randomized, it's hard to understand what's going on when there's so much that's flashing. What a flashpoint could mean is a hint at a certainty. What's uncertain about a thing can be great because it allows the freedom and willpower. But the moment that someone, cheats the system and then denies being evaluated, it's very dangerous, because it's as if you're calling a spiral a circle by not letting anyone see the inside, that it has a curvature of below 90-degree angle is half a semicircle, but in a spiral, half of an 80-degree at a 90-degree angle is not half of a semicircle, because the spiral is concaved inwards as opposed to a smooth radius from 0 to 180 degrees. But you don't know that unless you're able to make a calculation from within the circle. When Homeland Security, the Justice Department, anyone of that stature not letting anyone see something inside and only allowing you to see fabrications from the outside, you're able to do this trick. So the following isn't problematic, it's just noteworthy that the more diversifying important positions suggest more so a corporatization that prints out infinite money. They think that they have infinite power for that reason alone, suggesting that a qualified personnel, as long as you take the corporation's pledge, is more important than a qualification of if you're ready or not. And so since viruses come from animals, by throwing piss and shit in their mouth repetitively until they're sick, and then drowning them in their own feces once again until something happens that is a molecule so finely, and then you take that and you start threading it and cutting it with other oddities that you got from drowning another animal with its own, and then you sew that together to try and get the T cells inside of a rat to get ate up, because rats' lungs and humans' lungs are alike. A shark has gills and I've got lungs. We both use them to breathe, only it does it underwater, whereas I breathe air. It's got water molecule, but not the complete set of it. So in turn, it's kind of like having a virus, but not it threaded with a specific amount, only 2/3 instead of 3/3. 3/3 would be if I had my lungs as gills breathing outside of air, or a shark had lungs like an alligator would be able to sleep underwater even though it needs to come up for air within like a half an hour. So I don't know how they sleep for a half an hour at a time and then come up for air. In any case, it's in a moment of asphyxiation, probably where they're comfortable. And that's, same with us when we're going to sleep. Our breath slows. REM sleep. There's something behind it. But in any case, back to a shark. Sharks don't have muscles in their faces, so it's really scary if you're getting ate by one, because it would show no emotion. There's two systems that invocate pressure and both can be used to decrypt something more fantastic than what is just currently thought as to be too tough. One of which is a touchscreen phone. If you put tape over your touchscreen phone, you'll be able to still use the function of the touching on the screen of the phone. If you put 2 pieces of tape over and then 3, you'll suddenly see that it's harder and harder to use the touchscreen function. What if this happened to your hand if you got less and less pressure within your fingerprint? That dynamic of which is a play on of pressures. The second one, a sticker that changes color to blue, the Coors bottle, of course. The more that it's cold, it'll change blue. Using these 2 things are both pressure systems, that of which is seen in Newtonian physics, every action's equal opposite reaction. But more complex, yet the same thing, is the Max Planck field theories. That of which would be going from like a tie-dye shirt that would have a resemblance of each of these dots that I have on, just spun a bit different. Going from that and back are the same thing, but just with a twist and the equalization of the opposite reaction. More on refrigeration and bioweaponry coming up next. The difference between a chainsaw and a firearm. If a firearm is a Tommy gun, it has a barrel of bullets and a rope chain. How similar is it? Is a projectile if it's stapled in a belt revolving? It can be looked at almost as though a refrigerator is a mechanism that is a difference of a pressure system. It utilizes its tipping point. Let me explain. In a refrigerator, it's got a state of liquid that it tends to grasp upon and return to. It plays on a vapor state because vapor is more excited than liquid. So it uses the heat around it to enforce a vapor heat. You know, because when you plug it in, it gets excited from electric, and that's forced vapor heat into a condenser coil, which warms up. The equal and opposite reaction occurs once that is initiated within the refrigerator, giving a cooler effect within the refrigerating unit. This is a play on because nothing boils at an exact temperature because everything's got different concentrations of liquid if it is being boiled. And then also with freezing, the salt water would freeze at a lower temperature than a regular water because it's got salt in it. So it's just play on that vapor is allowed to have a degree of freedom, that of which makes for a differentiation of a refrigeration simply by that construct. Yesterday I noted that something on the ground is randomized iconically, but how much if you're injured on the ground and then no one comes to help you is like you're looked at as an object. What an insult. What would be worse than that is if you, in order to be human, had to take something that would make you less human. How would that be possible if you had to take something that had jellyfish in it, where then you would be a part jellyfish? And there's a giant difference between banging something into your bloodstream versus digesting it in your stomach, because you can eat jellyfish and survive off of it, but then the difference is banging it into your bloodstream, and that's very difficult because when you digest stuff, the nutrients absorbs into the bloodstream. So what's the fork in the road, bud?